Hi, everyone. Welcome to the final day of the January Reset 2025. We made it. We're here. We're here at the final day. And I just want to thank all of you so much for joining me for this journey this week. Whether you were here for every day or this is your first day, you are welcome. And actually, today's a great day for it to be your first day if you haven't been able to join, because I am going to do a little recap of the week. But regardless of how you were able to participate in this program this week, I just want to congratulate you and commend you for investing some time to make your life better, to improve your situation. A lot of times we don't do that, and it's hard, especially as executives, especially as executive moms. We have a lot on our plate. And so it's sometimes we don't always find the time or create the time for ourselves. So I just want to recognize you for doing that. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And let's go ahead and dive right in. So, what is the January Reset? Well, it is a 5-day program. It's a transformative program for women who are leaders. And we are spending the week together to figure out what we want out of our lives and our careers, take some time to set up our year for a really big, successful, amazing year so that we can move closer and closer to what we want and make changes that as we see fit. And we love to come together and feel in a community. It's a lot more fun that way than trying feeling like we're doing it all by ourselves. So, you are in the right place if you're a high achiever and you have very high expectations of yourself and maybe have a tendency to lean into a little bit of overworking or being a workaholic. You have so many responsibilities. You are responsible for so many things in work and at home, and that often you maybe forget to or neglect to prioritize yourself. You feel ready to go. So after this week, you are feeling like, all right, I'm ready to make some changes, some positive changes in my life. And let's just go. Let's do this. And maybe you wonder about, will this positive energy sustain? Will it continue? And, maybe I have tried to make changes in my life before, but I kind of ran out of steam or I got so busy that I stopped focusing on that. And maybe that's a concern for you. So, we're going to talk about all of that today. If any of those or all of those describe you, you're in the right place. And I'm glad you're here. A little bit about me and who I am and what I care about. I'm Leanna. My mission is to empower women, especially executive moms, to really live the life that you want to live and to have the career that you want to have and to discover and really boldly and authentically communicate your priorities and live in alignment with your priorities as well. And really, so that you can find balance and true joy in motherhood and your children, in your relationships, in your work, and most importantly, in yourself. I really want every woman to do more of what she loves and less of what she doesn't love, so that at the end of the day, when you are looking back at your life, this one and only precious life, you can feel really fulfilled and really content about how you chose to spend your time and not feel full of regret and wishes that you had done things differently. So I designed this program and I'm offering it at no cost, as widely as I possibly can, just so that more and more women can do that, because I feel so strongly and so passionately about it. So, what you are walking away with this week, clarity, really, really a lot more clear. I hope you're feeling a lot more clear about what you want and what's most important to you, as well as your vision, having a very clear vision about where you want to go in 2025 and beyond. What is your future self? What does she look like? Who is she? How does she show up? And just having a really clear vision and then a plan of how to get there and of how to start living into that future vision of yourself. And also what to do when obstacles present, as they inevitably will. And we'll talk a little bit more about that today. So, I want to offer last chance my gift to you for participating in this challenge. Whether you participated one day, half a day, completely fully, you are welcome to join me for a 1 hour vision call where we're going to sit down together and talk about where you are now, where you want to be, and how you're going to get there. And we can talk about how I can help support you in that as well. But this is your last chance to do that. So please, please, please join me for a 2025 vision call to really take that next step in setting yourself up for a great year. So, to recap what we've done so far this week, so we started off on day one by taking stock. And remember, we have a meta question for each day. So, kind of a question that we're asking ourselves, an overarching question, and then a set of other questions as well. But on day one, we asked ourselves, where am I now? And then on day two, we went to where would I like to be? Day three, we talked about what's been stopping me, what has been in the way of me creating this so far in my life. On day four, we talked about what am I going to do about it? And today, the question is, what do I need to be successful? So, what are the things that I need to put in place or the support that I need in order to really set myself up for success in achieving these goals and living the life that I want to live? So I'm going to recap a little bit more in depth. I just kind of want to recap some of the highlights. So if you're just joining, or if you missed a day, or if maybe you got a little distracted in one of the days, it's totally fine. You do not have to do this program or any program perfectly to get value out of it. So let's go ahead and share. I'm going to share some of the highlights. So we started off asking, when you stop and look around at your life, what do you notice? And we looked at the wellness wheel to look at lots of different areas of our lives, maybe ones that we haven't thought about in a while, especially if we are really busy or, new moms, and there's just a lot on our plates. So just stopping and checking in. I think that's such an important exercise to do, probably not just once a year, but if you only do it once a year, that's better than not doing it at all. But that way we can stop and take stock and see, what's going well, what's not going well. And then we asked ourselves, what is most important to me in this season? And really specifically about right now in this season, because we go through different seasons of our lives and different things are important to us in different seasons. So, what may have been really, really important to us a few years ago might not feel as important now, and that's okay. And that will continue to evolve and change over time, what's most important to us. So, what is most important to me right now in this season? We connected with the future vision of ourselves. So, thinking about who is that future me and what does she care about? What is she doing? Who is she being? How is she walking through the world? How is she showing up? And I think that this is such a powerful exercise because when we are able to really have that clear picture of who we want to be in the future, then whenever we are unsure of what to do in our current situations, we can almost kind of reach out to her and ask her for guidance. So how would my future self handle this? If I look to the future version of myself, what would she do here? How would she answer this question? How would she choose to show up right now? And it allows us, whenever we do that, to start living into that future version of ourself more and more every day. I think a really important point that I shared in, I believe it was day three, is that every action we take or don't take is driven by our desire to either feel or avoid a feeling. I'm sorry, to either feel or avoid a certain feeling. So either we're going to do something because we want to feel a certain way. So maybe some of our successes in our life have been driven by the fact that we want to feel important. We want to feel recognized and good and accomplished whenever we get there. And so it's, I think, helpful just to recognize what feelings are driving my life and my actions. A lot of times we also do not do things because we're afraid of feeling a certain way. Usually it's because we're going to look stupid. We think we'll look stupid, or maybe it'll confirm that we're not good enough, this maybe belief that we have in ourselves. Maybe we'll feel shame and embarrassment, and that is just too painful to bear. So we stop ourselves from doing things. Maybe we want to go for a promotion, but we're afraid that, our boss will think, who does she think she is? She's not good enough for that. And and then we're going to feel shame and we're going to feel embarrassment, right? And it's always some feeling at the end if you dig into it. I've got a frog in my throat today. Sorry. If you dig into it further and further and peel back the layers, it always comes back to a feeling that we either want to feel or don't want to feel. And that's why we do or do not do things. So I think it's just helpful to be aware of. A couple other things that we talked about, we looked at what is the gap between where I am now and where I want to be, so that therefore I can identify what I need to do to get there. And here in 2025, we have the opportunity to set a couple of goals to move us closer to where we want to be. And I recommend 2 to 3 goals, no more than that. Because whenever we try to spread ourselves too wide, too thin, we just don't, then it's not clear how we prioritize. When we have 2 or 3 very specific goals that we are working towards, then as we plan our time, as we choose what to do, as we prioritize, then we are able to do that with so much more clarity, because it's like, these are the 2 things that I have decided are most important for this year. And so therefore, that's how we're going to make this decision. It makes it so much easier, so much clearer to be able to make decisions and take action. And then we want to align all of our actions to those goals. So on a regular basis, we are just asking ourselves, checking in on, what can I do today? What about this action, this opportunity right in front of me, is it going to move me closer to my goals? And then finally, I shared a really helpful tool, Byron Katie's 4 questions for limiting beliefs that are holding us back. Because chances are this vision that we really kind of solidified this week, it's probably not brand new to you. It's probably something that has been on your mind or in your heart for many years, but maybe, either you've been ignoring it or you've been kind of slowly moving toward it, but, getting off track. And it's always helpful to bring it back into the light. And whenever we start to move toward our vision for ourselves, sometimes we can get held back by our limiting beliefs. And so the 4 questions of with any thought that you have, any belief that you have, is to run it through the questions of, is it true? Can you absolutely know that it's true? How do you react, or what happens when you believe that thought? And then who would you be without that thought? And going through each thought, putting each thought through that. And that was from day 3. And I would highly recommend revisiting that whenever you get stuck. So the day 5 meta question. So that's kind of a recap of where we have covered, what we've covered so far, where we've been so far this week. For day 5, we want to ask ourselves, what do I need in order to be successful? It is our job as adults to identify our needs and to advocate for ourselves, to ensure that our needs are met, to make sure that we're communicating what we need to other people if they come into play here. And when we're in family systems and in work, then often they do. So let's set you up for success. How can you set yourself up for success? I think it's so important to ask this question: what support do I need to ask for in order to achieve my goals? What systems do I need to put in place in order to achieve my goals? Is it that I need 10 minutes every morning just to review my vision and goals, and I need to put a system in place? And then I need to ask myself, are there supports that I need for that? Do I need my partner to be on call if the kids need something, for example, and say, this is my protected time? Maybe I need 15 minutes when I get home from work to journal about my day, and I want to spend some time reflecting on how did I show up today and how much was I in alignment. And I just kind of want to be sure to look back and reflect on that. Or maybe if my goal is to write a book, I can dedicate, maybe I need some time in the evenings after the kids go to bed, and I need to communicate that with my partner that, hey, I'm going to be spending 45 minutes each evening working on my book, and this is why it's important to me, and let's talk about that and figure that out. So really thinking about what support do I need from those around me, and what systems do I need to put in place in order to set myself up for success. And then I want you to remember from day 3 what happens in our brains when we try to make change. And I talked about that we have multiple parts of our brains, but there are these two parts of our brains that really come into play here. There's our prefrontal cortex, it's our adult brain that is able to make rational decisions and think about things and plan. And then there's our amygdala, our survival brain. And the only things it cares about are the three things on this screen: to avoid pain, to seek pleasure, and to conserve energy. It's just trying to keep us alive, and that's it. And so, a lot of times, what happens whenever we try to make change is that our toddler brain starts freaking out, our survival brain or toddler brain. It is the one that is like, we need to go find a cave and we need to stay in the cave and not come out. And anytime that your adult brain suggests or even thinks about making a change, even if it's a very positive change, your toddler brain's just going to start freaking out and telling you all kinds of nonsense and offering all kinds of thoughts about why we should stay here. It's going to come up with really scary worst case scenarios. It's going to offer thoughts like, you don't have time to do that. You have too many responsibilities. That's really irresponsible of you to want to do that. What are people going to think? All kinds of thoughts that are going to try to keep you where you are. And it's your own brain, and it is truly trying to be in service of you to help you keep you alive. But that part of our brain is not actually in service of us when we're trying to do new things or make changes in our lives that we have decided are what's best for us. This is why people stay in bad situations, because their survival brain almost always believes that the current situation is safer because it's more known, right? At least we know what to expect, even if it's not an ideal situation. That what's out there is probably a lot more scary because we don't know what it would be like. We don't know anything about it. And this is how everyone's brains work. It's not that there's something wrong with yours. I think so often we kind of start piling on to ourselves and get in these shame spirals about what's wrong with me. Why can't I make this change? I keep saying I want to work out more. I keep saying I want to advance my career. I keep saying I want to spend more time with my family and stop working so much. But I just keep reverting back to those old habits. And that is because our survival brain is saying it's safer there. It's safer in what we know. And so you get the option to decide a bunch of times a day. Am I going to speak up in that meeting? Am I going to go to the gym like I decided I would? Am I going to have that tough conversation with my partner? Will I talk to my boss about that promotion opportunity? And every time you think about those things, your brain's probably going to offer a lot of reasons why you shouldn't do it. And you get to decide if you want to believe it or not. So what should we do about this? This is it. This is the process to this. Every time this happens, so we want to make decisions ahead of time with our adult brain activated. We want to really get our prefrontal cortex activated and make the decisions about what do we want our day to look like tomorrow? What am I going to do at 10 o'clock, at 5 o'clock, right? Like we need to make those decisions. And then when your toddler brain starts with its nonsense, you can just let it. You don't need to argue with it. You don't need to get attached to it. You don't need to believe everything it says. You don't need to meet you don't need to make it mean anything bad about you. And then you do the thing that you decided to do. You just let those thoughts happen and you don't get upset about it, and you just let them happen, and then you could just go and do it. It's as simple as that, and as as challenging as that too. But if you've ever had a toddler, imagine if you let your toddler run around and make decisions all day long and with no adult intervention. It's like you'll never get anything done because you go from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, and you need your adult brain to call the shots. So you get to decide who's running the show in there. So, some tools that you can use to help support you in meeting your goals and keeping your brain on track as well. One thing is journaling. One of the most helpful tools is just to write things down, just to get the thoughts out of your head, because whenever they're swirling around in there, I think a lot of times they have a lot more power over us until we get them out. And so whenever you write it down, what I recommend is just start writing down your thoughts and feelings. This actually happened to me last night as I was finishing up designing this presentation for today. I had all kinds of thoughts like, I don't feel like doing this. I don't want to be doing this right now. I'm so tired. It's been a really great week, but a long week. And, you know, would anyone really mind if I just didn't do the last day? I did 4 days already. And so my brain was offering all these thoughts. And so I just started writing them down, all the things my brain was offering and all the ways I was feeling. I was feeling tired. I was feeling unmotivated. And then I wrote down, so why do it? Why would I do this? And then I started answering that question. Well, I have people who are waiting for this. I have people who this is really going to help. I This is really part of my mission and this is what I believe in. And I have decided that this January reset is a way that I am going to live into my mission and my future self. This feels really good to offer this program to everybody for free. I want to create this content. I want to do this. And by the time it was like I was writing and then I was just like, okay, let's go. Let's do it. Because I got myself back to a state where I reminded myself why I was doing it in the first place and why it was so important to me. So all those thoughts about, in the moment of trying to keep me safe and trying to do those things that our brain tries to do, preserve energy, avoid pain and seek pleasure. All of those things were there, and I chose to notice them and then decide, reactivate my adult brain and decide what I wanted to do. So that's available to you anytime you want to do it. Anytime that you're like, I don't feel like going to the gym. I should go spend time with my family, but I feel like I should work instead. I should get my laptop out, but I've decided I don't want to do that. Just start writing. So it's like 5 minutes journaling. Another tool available to you is Byron Katie's 4 questions, which I recapped earlier, and you can go back to day 3 to listen to that. But basically, you get to decide if you want to believe the thought. If there's a limiting belief where, there's some kind of thought of, I'm not good enough, I don't have time, I, you know, who am I to have that dream, whatever it is, whatever, thoughts your brain is offering, you can run those thoughts through those 4 questions. Another tool is deep breathing. It's so underrated, but really giving yourself some space so that you can respond to the thought rather than just reacting, so that you can kind of give your brain a little more oxygen and a little bit more resources to think and make a good decision. And then, of course, coaching. I've given you some self-coaching options that you can do. So if you want to go kind of the DIY route, then those are available to you. Or working with an experienced coach who can really help to guide you to get to where you want to go. I am a product of coaching and I am a coach. So I've been coaching since 2017. I've been a certified executive career and life coach since then. And I've worked with so many women, so many executive moms. And I just truly believe in the transformative power of coaching because I've seen what they've created in their lives and how much better they're able to show up and live the way that they want to live. And I am also a walking testimony of coaching. I love my life. I love what I've created in my life. And I've done that with coaching. I've done that because I've been supported by a coach and I've coached myself a lot as well. So I would love to invite you to work with me in a coaching relationship. And I want to tell you a little bit more about what that would look like. So we would spend 6 months together. We're going to meet every week. We're going to revisit your vision. And I'm going to constantly remind you of that whenever you forget about that future version of yourself. We're going to work through your limiting beliefs so that you can achieve the goals you've set for yourself and really create the life and career that you want to live. And it's really customized to meet your needs, but these 4 things are the things that we work on usually the most because these are really why most women come to me. So stress management, really kind of reducing anxiety, stress, mom guilt. Work-life balance is a big reason why people come to me because they're overworking and it's really kind of like, hey, I used to work 60 plus hours a week. Now I have kids. I can't work that way anymore, but I don't know how to change it. I don't know how to still show value to my workplace without working that way. And so we work on really empowered prioritization and boundary setting. And how do you want to show up? How do you want to spend your time? And then confidence is another big one. So, really having the confidence to show up in your authentic version of yourself and tapping into your authentic leadership style and how you want to communicate, which might be different than the way that those around you are communicating or showing up as leaders, especially if you are the only or one of a few women on an all male or male dominated team, like in tech, like I was. And then fulfillment, like we've been talking about with this program. So, really conscious decision making and life vision, because, so that you're really not just living life to get through it, but you're actually getting something out of it and you're enjoying it and feeling fulfilled by it. So, I would love to work with you. This is how you would get started is to book a 2025 vision call if it's January still, or after January, won't be offering those calls anymore. I'll be offering consult calls. The January vision call is a special call that I'm offering right now to really focus specifically on your vision for 2025. But in either of those calls, we'll look at where you are now, where you want to be, and how I can support you in getting there. So I would really love to talk to you. Whether we decide to work together from there or not, this call can truly change your life and set you up for success. So a few reminders for success before you go out in the world and before we sign off here. Social accountability is something I haven't talked a whole lot about, but tell people what you're doing. Enroll a friend or a random person. If you have a fitness goal, meet at the gym. You'll be more likely to go if you have it on your calendar as an appointment and if you're scheduled to see someone else. If your goal this year is to write a book or to produce something that has you on the computer, there are virtual co-working sites like FocusMate where you can sign up for a time and then be there with another person. So really that's a great support system for you if you would like. Visit your goals and vision regularly. I recommend every day. So that way you know what you're working toward. It's fresh in your mind. So many people climb ladders and then they get to the top, they realize that's not where I wanted to be. So it's so important to really decide where you want to go and then work to get there and to continuously check in and remind yourself where you're going. And then use your vision, goals, and priorities to guide your decision making and your actions. When you're really clear on your priorities, you can make decisions that are aligned. So whenever you have a clear goal, if your goal is to complete a triathlon this year, like mine is, then whenever I look at how I'm spending my time in a week, I can ask myself, is it in alignment with that priority? Do I have the time set aside in order to meet that goal? And then ask yourself daily, proactively, what is one thing I will do today to move me closer to my vision and my goals? What can I do today? What small step can I take? And remember that small actions lead to big changes. Do not discount small steps. If you're trying to build muscle, going to the gym once a month and doing a huge, intense workout isn't going to do you nearly as much good as if you go to the gym for 20 minutes a day every day or for 5 days a week. Small, consistent steps is what is going to get you there. And then I want to offer this tool that I love to really help you stay on track when your brain starts doing what human brains do. And a thought that you can think is, how human of me. Remind yourself that you're a human. You're not perfect. You don't have to be perfect in order to reach your goals or to live the life you want. I am a recovering perfectionist and I am living the life that I want to live because I don't expect myself to be perfect. There are going to be days where you cannot, you can't even, you don't want to, you don't want to do the things that you know you need to do to get you closer to your goals, and you're not going to do them, and you're not going to be able to coach yourself into it, and it's okay. You can forgive yourself and give yourself grace because you're a human. Beating yourself up is not going to help. Just remind yourself, how human of me, and then tomorrow you can do it differently. And then finally, one of my favorite thoughts is, when I invest in myself, everyone around me benefits. This is so helpful, I think, especially for women, especially for moms. We tend to prioritize everyone else's needs, our kids, our partner, our employees, our employer, our neighbors, our friends, our family. And it's like everyone is vying for our attention and for us to prioritize them. And it feels like everyone needs us. And I think it's so important to remember that when we invest in ourselves, we show up better for everyone around us. If we if you can't really wrap your head around prioritizing yourself right now, that's okay. I mean, you can continue prioritizing everyone else, but just know that one way to prioritize everyone else is to invest in yourself and to take time for yourself. When you take time for yourself, you show up better and more like the person you want to be with your kids and your partner, and maybe probably less snappy or snippy with them. When you're feeling more aligned, you're going to inspire your team to be more aligned themselves. And I think as leaders, we just have so many people watching us. And when we show up for ourselves, we model that to other people. We give permission to show up for ourselves and to spend time asking ourselves, what do I want? And then going for it. And that's my wish for you. And that is my wish for everyone that you inspire, that is surrounded by you, that's watching you, is that you can set that tone and model that behavior and give permission to everyone around you to also prioritize themselves, because you're doing that for you. So thank you so, so much for tuning in. It's been an honor truly to spend this time with you and for you to join me in this. And I truly hope it's been helpful. I would love for you to connect with me. I would love to hear about your wins. I loved hearing about people's wins from last year, and I want to hear about your wins from this year. What do you create in 2025? These are different ways you can connect with me. You can follow my podcast, listen to my podcast if you subscribe. I update it weekly, and actually all of these recordings are on there too if you want to listen to it down the road and check back in with how you're doing. So the Executive Coach for Moms podcast, you can find it on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn, or go to my website, coachleanna.com. That's going to have all my current offerings and all of my um, programs that I'm currently running. So would love to connect with you in any of those places. Also, up in the upper corner here, it says get worksheets. That's how you can subscribe and connect. I'll send you all the worksheets from this week, and as well as future offerings as well. And lastly, I would love to see you for a 2025 vision call. I hope that you'll sign up for one of those so that we can talk and really set you up for success this year. I want you to have an amazing, amazing year. You deserve it. And the better year that you have, the better year everyone around you is going to have. And so that is my wish for you. Thank you so much for joining the January Reset 2025. I am wishing you